Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to UKU Nationals / EUCR West with, let me do maths here, which is dangerous, 34 of the UK and Ireland's top teams fighting it out to crown themselves champions and also to seal those spots to the European Championships coming up in a couple of weeks' time in Caola, just outside Venice, Italy. It's Benji Rees here with you in the booth alongside the one and only Lorcan Murray. Delighted to be bringing you our first Open Division action of the weekend, and we have Smashed in the white, pulling to Chevron Action Flash in the blue. I'm pumped for this one, Lorcan.
You've got every reason to be. We've got an established powerhouse of UK Ultimate going up against rising upstarts. The action's going to be all here on the pitch. And here we go.
Oh, big bit comes through, nearly trying to steal that Callahan away. Didn't quite get there. And now there's a deep shot down that sideline. Oh, went with the trailing edge. It looked awkward, but Barak made it work. Looking for this tall figure of Sax Dixon as the reset. Now they're working it around the back. Mason. Jinking cut as the reset, spaced for the reliable Hodgett. Hodgett backhand. Here's Martin Hall. Looking, there's a little inside window there. Not going to go with it on this occasion. Hodgett surveying options. Wants to be aggressive, but I think might have to reset here. Still count is rising. Goes low, goes around, finds Martin Hall. No force in there. Again, the second attempt. They're just stagnating a little bit outside the end zone. Patience is a virtue, it seems, for the Chevron offense so far. Martin Hall. Oh, that is wide open for Hodgett. And I must admit, good pull there from Smashed. Really pinned Chevron in a bit of trouble early on, but they banged their way out of it, and they were nice and cool and calm outside the end zone for the score.
You're talking about stagnation, but I think it's about patience. 3, if not 4, inside flicks looked off as we get another look at this beautiful huck down the line. Same third huck, looked like it was going to be trouble, but Barak made sure of it. So we can see the reset work that they were doing. And a few times Hall looked off, forcing flicks inside to uprushing handlers, and instead they just reset, and eventually that shot is clear as day to the very open Tom Hodgett on the front corner. So, consummate.
The force is just a little bit far off there. It gets sucked into that open side as well. And a wide open break throw. There's no way they're going to turn that down.
Well, I think that shows Chevron taking their time, and something is levied at them upon occasions. They don't train together that often, but they do know each other inside out. Like you said, Hodgett so reliable, Hall so assured, and not forcing anything is going to be key to this game. Not so much, I would say, for Chevron, but for Smash D, who are going to have to really work to stay patient and take the shots when they come. Their offense traditionally quite grindy on the O-line, and something they're trying to expand. It's going to be about picking the right shots, Benji, not just taking them as soon as they appear.
Burnham catches the ball, gets it moving quickly to Turville, one of the captains. On the far sideline, Lee played for GB at the youth level and also represented Malaysia on the beach as well. On the far sideline, big pump fake, not liking it. Now we'll turn and activate the reset. No, instead Burnham down the line is the option. Got a player with a little bit of separation deep, and they're going to open it up. Turville's the target, hanging up there, misread, but brilliant backup from Smashed. Everyone got suckered in, and they were there to pick up the pieces.
I don't know if that was the right deep shot, but it was certainly the one that worked. It's always going to be tough. You're throwing in the same third to connect. It floated for an awfully long time. The intended receiver was not the one who wound up with it. I believe that was Wastel who took it down in the end.
Let's have a look. Here's the shot from Burnham. He does see the separation. I think he hesitates a little bit, but because it's already tight on that sideline, he has to lean back and put a bit of air underneath this in order to get it there. As you say, over the first couple of receivers, but it is exceedingly well backed up. That looks like, I think that's number 7, Dan Wilson with the score.
So great work from Wilson chasing that play, and you've got to chase every single disc. Yes, it's a score, but I wouldn't consider it an overly encouraging one.
No, I must admit, it's not the prettiest of scores. They did say that they wanted to try and find the range on their deep game a bit more. That's probably not the way they wanted to do it, but again, I do think there is something to be said for looking big early, because it does always plant that threat in the opposition's mind.
expand the pitch early on. You'll have plenty to play for as the game continues. They got away with it. Let's see if they can put some more pressure. Their early pressure on Chevron was nearly stifling on the last possession.
This time Chevron trying to move the disc a bit quicker. Here's Haynes. Pump fakes the first one and then all laying out, coming towards it. Required bid there from Sam Cameron. Here's Barak, of course, played at the World Games for Great Britain, putting a bit of air under this one, looking for Haynes. Brilliant poach block there from Wastel. Read that one brilliantly, got in there nice and early. Picked Haynes' pocket. Can smash to get the game's first break. That throw is low, too low, and despite the acrobatic bid there from Huang.
A difficult one for Smash D. You're only going to get so many opportunities. Fantastic heads-up defensive play, but they can't cash it in.
Second time of asking, Hodgett picks up this time. Doesn't like the underneath of Haynes, resets instead to Martin Hall. Feels a little bit warm to be wearing trackies to play in, but I'm also wearing trackies, and I will tell you actually that it is a bit warm. This one underneath, bid comes in, but Hodgett has boxed out there. Now looking down line again. This is floating a little bit, but Cameron, good presence of mind and field awareness there. Just a little toe tap there with the left foot. In the end, shot was weighted well. 2-1 to Chevron.
A comfortable second look at the score. Really well done by Chevron. They seem stuck on that side of the sideline for a long time. We're going to have another look at them just working it down there. So much pressure. Smash D, definitely. We saw them get one turn. We know they can get more. As here's another look at that fantastic reach-up grab by Wastel.
And there you can just see that it was just kind of, they've got that awareness. They've kind of got the heads up. They're looking for those poach opportunities, trying to find a way to pass off those switches. And I thought for a minute there they were going to get another one, but Hodgett weighted it well. Both of these sides have already played this morning. How did their games go?
Well, they both played EDI in the other group, or the other team in their group, and they both won 15-5, which effectively sets this up as a quarterfinal for the national title. We have got few more games, so whoever loses this doesn't have to worry. Their chance of Europe is still very much alive tomorrow. But if they want to have any hope of snagging that national glory, they're going to need to come out on top in this matchup. And it is quite a scintillating one to start with.
Here's the pull. The inside-out backhand, I think, is going to draw all the way out of that far sideline, and it will indeed be bricked. Looking like they're starting out in a horizontal set here.
Got to imagine this is going to be a set play.
I take that back. They are just, however, seeing that Chevron marks the initial play out well, so they're happy to reset in the backfield at the moment. Turville, under pressure from Morel, makes the catch. He's got an option in the backfield. Pumps it. Trying to get the squirrely Burnham free. High stall, hammer over the top. Just about past the bidding Vaslit, but it opens up the deep shot. And the deep shot is easily reeled in. Good connection there. I think that is Phipps to Seamus Turville to make it 2 apiece. Vaslit looks agonised that he just couldn't quite get there, although I think this might be a contested stall on that hammer over the top.
So they're going to come back and discuss it. That, honestly, as opposed to their first point, I would consider that more of a planned success and an indicator of things to come. Yeah, the hammer was a close one, but it was also the right call at the right time, completely opened up the pitch, and they took over very effectively.
Looks like a contested stall here. So we'll come in on stalling 8. This time, the high stall option is the deep look. The towering figure of Vassit is there, and he rips it away. Now it's Chevron's turn to have the disc with the D-line and a chance to break. Morel winds up and uncorks it. He's looking for Allen. Allen boxes out brilliantly, just seals out Matt Hill there, and is in the end zone, and first blood to Chevron. That'll be 3-1.
Brilliant, brilliant play by Chevron on the D-line offense. Absolutely no hesitation to them. Firing it downfield through some really powerful and established players that they've got at their disposal. This is the danger Seb Allen knows what he's doing. Morel as well is fantastic. They were so close, and it's got to be unfortunate for Smash D when you get that score, you think you're home safe, you're forced to come back into it. Here's another look at the big time D. You were talking on the previous point about how that's imposing. You were talking on the previous point, Benji, about how Smash D were doing a great job of playing heads up, looking for their approaches off. Chevron showing, if you can do it, we can do it too. And that's just a lesson in boxing out.
Yeah, just taking a position there nice and early, making the defender have to either go up way too early or trying to find a way of coming all the way around. And with the, with that deep look, because the disc is coming in on a high stall, Vaslit is immediately peeling off because he knows that that deep option is one of those throws that's likely to go. And you know, if they beat you with that hammer over the top, yes, it'd be frustrating to get it again. But also, you've kind of got teammates there who are also aware. It allows you to go off into that space.
There's only so much you're going to be able to stop when you're playing at this level, and there you go with the high percentage chances. He read that play perfectly, saying most likely this is a deep shot. I'm okay with committing on that 100%, on the 70% chance that's what they throw. And there you go, he gets a little bit of glory and a highlight to add to his show reel. Very impressive stuff by Chevron in these early exchanges. But do not forget, it was Smash D who got the first turnover of the game. They're far from out of it.
Here's the lefty Lee, back to Burnham. And Turville, this backfield has a look that is heavily influenced from my alma mater, all three University of Sussex graduates. Snuck down that far sideline past the bidding Turner. Fake there from Varney, into the backfield here. Seamus Turville. To Burnham, he's in plenty of space in the centre. He wants that break towards the far side. Oh, there's a player there, wide open. Massive bust in coverage, and it's Dan Wilson there to collect the goods.
Really well worked by Smash D. So much quick movement downfield that they were just trying to attract as much attention from the Chevron defensive players. Pulled all of the focus over to the open side, dragging, and then just sitting there on the far sideline to take the easy collection. Bit of a nifty throw as well. But really great movement from Smash D and showing that they're not going to get rattled. This tournament is a big statement for them that, like, yes, we are in the upper echelon of UK Ultimate Club teams and we do plan on being here. This season is a big one for them. They've trained as regularly as they can, more regularly than they ever have before. They ran their first trials that they've ever done. This is not a breakout season. This is a testament season. This is who we are. This is where we belong to be.
The breakout was last year.
Exactly.
This is can they back up all that promise that they showed? Speaking of them before the game, they mentioned that their first game of Nationals last year was against Chevron on this very show pitch, and it was a little bit of a pantsing.
Yeah, just a smidgen of a pantsing.
And so clearly, although it's not all about revenge, they want to kind of show that they are to be underestimated at other teams' peril.
It's not all about revenge. It's a little bit about revenge.
It's a little bit about revenge.
Little bit.
Just a little bit. Hodgett in the backfield now. Fakes the first look to Keim, thinks about the break. Popped off, ooh, a little bit of a fluttery pass, but Keim lays out to save it.
And Smash D are producing these moments from Chevron, these inches, these millimeters of difference. And you gotta believe they're gonna start turning them into turnovers soon enough.
Moore will check it in on the mark. It's in the hands of Keim. Keim thinks about the inside shot to Haynes instead. No, turns looking at the backfield. Tough coverage on Hodgett, but taking a little bit of an advantage of the face mark from Betson there. Hodgett now underneath, trying to get some more fluidity to this offense. Barak underneath. Cameron to Haynes on this near sideline. Takes the throw nice and early towards that break side. Brilliantly weighted into the hands of Sweetnam to make it 4-2. Just got it up there before the defender ever really got sight of it, and by the time he'd seen it, it was already too late.
Fundamentals. Can't react quick enough to people just beating you to the open side. Just when it looked like they were going to get trapped too far on the sideline, the defense would have a chance to exert some pressure. Haynes uncorks a perfect shot right into the middle of the pitch. They're going 1v1, beating them to the front corner. And then here, this is where you start to worry about being trapped a little bit too much, but Haynes is just too good. Opens up the pitch, perfectly weighted and waited for in the end zone. Really nice score from Chevron. showing that skill, showing that tenacity.
Yeah, Haynes has been playing on Chevron for a couple of years after a decent stint on Clapham, but relocated, so Chevron a lot closer to home for him now.
Long-standing figure of the UK Ultimate scene, has been on both ends. I wonder how many players, that'd be a fun thought experiment to do some other time, how many players have been on both ends of the Chevy Clapham final?
There's a few, but maybe not as many as perhaps you might think.
Two I can think of right now are Haynes and Mead.
Yep.
But maybe a couple of other ones. But that's not the match we're watching right now. Right now we are seeing Smash D, O-line out here trying to convert.
Turville taking that centre handler position underneath for Varney. Varney clutches again before finding Turville. Again, smashed. We did mention that their offense does have a propensity to try and grind it under, and so far that seems to be the order of the day. Little give go there from Turville and Varney. Now on this near sideline, Phipps faking the big option, instead looking for the reset. Morel was there nice and early, read it brilliantly, but a foul call comes.
And you can probably hear from the microphones the general consensus on the sideline towards that decision. We're going to have another look. You can see how early Morel sniffs that out. He lets his man go about 3 seconds as the dump is turning to engage.
That old calculated risk.
Well, you said at the start you're the one for the maths and not me. Because right now these two people are trying to work out, was this a foul? Maybe pop that up on Reddit. Foul and or nah.
Delete as appropriate.
So it looks like they're going to hold on to it.
So accepted foul call. Turville will keep possession. Break side option is Burnham. Burnham down the far sideline. Smash trying to get their offense moving in again. Steepling hammer over the top. Well reeled in by Varney in the end zone. Well, they said they wanted to add more deep game to it. That's one way of doing it. A hell of a hammer for the score.
They all count Benji, and sure, he shot that one skyward, but it came down in the hands of an angel in the form of Varney collecting that to make it 4-3 and keep things close. Whichever way you can do it, that's the way to do it. Do you think this speaks to the pressure they're feeling against Chevron? They're having to pull out some of these slightly riskier throws?
I'm not sure whether it's, okay, we're pulling out these, you know, it's tight coverage, we have to really push the margins. But this throw went up quite early in the stall count. I think this is just a confidence of Fungerino, just seeing the look and just, you know what, do it. He's a confidence player with a little bit of style and swag, so if he sees it, he's not afraid to pull the trigger.
He's true, and you need that to an extent on the O-line, and something Smashed D have been really working on is getting that O-line to be a bit more adventurous, be a bit more, shall we say, swashbuckling and going for those shots. The problem is what happens when one or two of them don't work out in a row.
I think the key for them is they don't want to be predictable. If teams know that this is a team that always prioritizes maybe to over-prioritizes those underneath passes, the offense becomes too easy to stop. So got to add the deep game just to make defenders be a little bit more quote-unquote respectful. Getting an isolation play out of the side stack, looking to get Cameron going deep. Well marked out, and again taking advantage of the face mark, getting that throw out nice and early to space. Kime to the break side to Barak. Chevron at the moment of the team being forced to grind it underneath, and that time the cuts from Sweetnam and Barak going at the same time in opposite directions, and thus causing the pick.
Smash D doing a really good job of the initial stifling, the initial shutdown on Chevron's options, but once they break through, they've taken beautiful sweet shots to the end zone. There's another little bit of contact. Things getting a little physical on the mark.
This one inside out, down the far sideline to Cameron. Defenders switching downfield. Cameron marked up against the opposite number 21, Cody Elliott-Edwards, who is a one to watch for the future, we think, although certainly that doesn't mean that he's not capable of producing big plays today, if his captains are to be believed. Hodgett looking deep this time. So casual and nonchalant on that reception from Cameron.
just knew he had the space, knew the throw was always going to be too difficult for any real attempt from Elliot Edwards to sneak it and get a block.
I must admit, I'd always rather see players when especially when you've got the time just to catch it with two hands there. I mean, why not? Because there is always the chance that you drop it and you look like an absolute fool. But goes up nice and early. Often with these jump into the end zones, you think, oh, there, that's in, and then you look at it closely and it's like, oh, actually, he hadn't quite taken off yet. But that one, he got up there nice and early, I think clearly in the air, popping it in for the score.
It was looking a little bit like a ballerina, just gliding through the sky, beautifully done, hanging in the air and taking it down. But that's the confidence. He's been here before. They've experienced these kinds of tight quarterfinals. We were talking before the game about how it's a really big thing for clubs to get into these types of matchups as frequently as they possibly can. And then the more you're in them, the more close games you're in, the more close games you're going to win, because that's how it breaks down. That's the kind of thing that Smash D need to really work on by playing in these matchups. But you can see right there just how often people like Cameron and Chevy have been in this situation.
Burnham catching the ball, centering pass to Hill. Back to Burnham. Take those 3 yards while they're there. Seamus Turvin on the far sideline. Resetting to Hill. Swinging across to Wilson. Got a couple of goals already to his name. There's the deep cup going. No, really good plant. Coming underneath is Lee. Lee absolutely rips this one looking for Fungerino, but he got that way too lasered.
Needed to put a bit more sit on that. Initially, I thought Smash D did a fantastic job of recycling the disc, working out where the Chevron poach was coming from. That time around, it was on the near sideline, and Rodri Williams, player we're keeping an eye on. Eventually, they're able to cycle it, get it to Wilson, and then keep working it down pitch. They set up the shot. Just, you think that's adrenaline?
I think it's a little bit of adrenaline. Again, I think we're seeing there, it's a team that isn't used, that does prefer working it underneath and just maybe rushing the huck a little bit. Not the decision, but maybe just the execution. Towards the far sideline, Espinosa has it. Nice little gainer there for Allen. Turner takes off deep. Allen's falling over as he releases this, and Turner can't reel it in. Looked, I think, to see if there was going to be a call, but quickly says, nope, nothing doing. Let's get back on and play some defense.
I always like the fall down throw. I think it's got just the right amount of swaz.
It's good if it works.
Yeah, well, it isn't everything. That's kind of the problem. Threw it into some tight contested spaces. Smash D continue to show that they've got the athleticism to stay with it. Now we'll see if they have the composure.
Yeah, Varney's probably the tallest defender there. As brilliant layout down the sideline from Dixon. Another call here from Lee, though.
This time, I think I'd have to agree with the call. That looked like it got an awful lot of arm.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see it again on the replay here. It's a really narrow window, and I think that I think Dixon's trying his best to avoid contact, but it looks like it's there.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because he's in the totally correct position. I mean, in order to get that grab, you'd have to reach back over Dixon. So maybe jumping the gun by laying out. And Lee's going to be able to retain possession.
We will see. Obviously, what we think in the booth doesn't really matter. It's all about the players on the field coming to a resolution that they're happy with.
I disagree. I feel like what we think in the booth is of paramount importance, as that one's going to go back as contested.
So this time, agreeing to disagree.
I don't agree to that.
Seamus Turville will have the disc back in his grasp. I'm not sure about the actual choice of throw there. It's a really tight window. It has to go up so early there so that the defender doesn't get a bid on it.
You joined us for the earlier game. I think it's worth mentioning the wind has picked up slightly since then. Obviously from the UKU flags on the far side of the pitch. It's blowing from our camera out across towards the tram lines.
This is a helixing hammer over the top that Varney reels in, and they're trying to take advantage of a couple of defenders sitting in on that. There is a call on the far side. I think this might be a stall out, and its question is, when was that hammer released? Penny is the player on the mark. A long-time Chevy veteran.
Chevy just putting so much pressure on Smash D, forcing them to go to these throws, but they might be better served just going to them a little early. You know where the space is. The space is on the opposite side of the pitch. They're trying to clamp down, force you into these awkward open side situations. So maybe the solution is look for the more outrageous throw a little bit earlier in the stall count.
So Varney's calling that he wants it early, and I think he's making it abundantly clear where he wants it as well. That's where he's going to get it. This is really leading him out backwards, but there's a whole lot of space there, and as long as you retain possession, why not use it? Varney just keep going in the backfield with Hill. Here's Burnham. Fungerino plants underneath, inside backhand, past the bidding defender of Williams. They've been putting a lot of responsibility on the young man this year, having taken some of the best players on the world defensively. This time it's Turner with the bid. Hill still retains possession, getting Turner off balance on the mark. There is a call downfield, though, that will bring a halt to proceedings.
I mean, it's inches on every shoulder, but just to momentarily put on the coaching criticism, these cuts from Smash D need to be sharper. They're trying to go deep, and they're just not turning and losing their defender with their turns. They're letting them hang around.
I think there was an underneath option there, but they didn't take it, and now the stall count is rising, again past the bidding defender. Williams again putting his body on the line. Fungerino brings it in, and now a little bit of room here. Finally, they can get some movement in the offense, but a travel is called. I think you can hear what some people watching below us think of the call.
And that's always welcome, heightening the atmosphere, heightening the tension as these two ambitious outfits go to war.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
So what should we tell your wife?
Hello. Here we go. Let's have a look again on the replay.
Williams and Fungerino are just battling.
It's a fun matchup, isn't it?
I can see, so with the travel, it's only meant to be if it impacts it. I think a big part of that, of Matt Hill getting that off, was how he was able to swing his foot around. And you'd be surprised, most people travel almost all of the time.
Disc is going to go back. Hill will keep possession. I wonder if they look for that same look again. There is certainly separation from Wilson.
Knowing Chevron, I wouldn't be surprised
I think that's the throw there. It's on the throw towards this side initially, and then it was retracted.
You see the communication. Steve Dixon, his head's up. He's there for the switch, and there it is in the backfield. Instead, they don't.
Here's the thing. From Chevy, nice little bracket there that they flashed into. For Smashed, I think you can maybe see that coming, and can you take advantage of whoever's being poached?
They're still at the point they can think one move ahead of their opponents, maybe not the 2 and 3 required to take that next step.
Here's Varney, just behind the attacking brick mark. Wilson on the far side. That blue baseball cap. Varney looking for the around, gets it off to Wilson. I think they're calling just for the offense to get a little bit closer, maybe a bit far away. This one popped up slightly, not a problem for Hill. Hill. Turville, the lefty, going towards all the far side now. Wilson just outside. Will they take the reset? No. Fungerino goes into the end zone. Forster's just enough to dissuade it, but they find that little inside channel and thread it through to Lee to make it 5-4. Tight game this, Lorcan. Loving it.
Tight game and tight spaces that they're trying to hit. And once again, that went back to the more established Smash D offense, grinding it under, taking these little spots, lovely leading passes, taking their time, working it down the pitch, trying not to get caught on the overly ambitious shots. But this is only going to work, I think, for so long. Do you believe they can go all the way, just keeping it in those grinding unders?
It feels like if every possession is taking 20-plus passes, you're giving yourself maybe more opportunities to be turned. And again, as we mentioned, I think the Chevy defense is expecting it, and they are baiting those deep throws a little bit because Smashed haven't really put them, and when Smashed have, they've not really nailed them either.
It has felt a little bit like they've been getting away with some of those deeper looks, and Chevy are trying to utilize. We saw even an example of it there, like that just over the years of playing together, even without regular trainings, just that inherent knowledge they have of each other and how they play, it lends itself to those kind of flash clamps that can really upset defenses, or as we saw earlier on, the swarming under the floatier deep shots.
You saw the main man there, Cy Hill, head of UKU, on the sideline, taking in the festivities and the ultimate. Chevron's offense going back to work. Hodgett looking for a give-go with Martin Hall. Centre. Hodgett just trying to run the offense here, go every other if necessary, and this is going to be an injury. Sweetenham has to go off.
I think he's been very successful running the offense. I love a bit of give-go. It can be tough and it'll certainly tire you out, but Hodgett's well able.
And they're going to bring on Rollo Sachs-Dixon as a replacement. Not a bad replacement to have.
It's a deep bench that Chevy boast.
You can smell the burger van wafting over. Underneath here is Sachs-Dixon, the aforementioned, having just come on. That's low, but Haynes scoops well. Hodgett jinks his way free as a reset. He sees a huge space on that inside channel, finds it to Sachs-Dixon. No immediate continuation, so back to Martin Hall's hands. Hodgett's calling for a bit more organisation. Still count rising, taking advantage of that poach on Sachs-Dixon. Just past the bidding defender, Betson, to get Hodgett coming off the front. It's getting loud, but eventually they get that ISO at the front of the end zone. The inside channel and the theatric celebration from Tom Martin Hall as it's 6-4.
It's a big score for them to get, push that lead out. They've gotten that one break right at the start of the matchup, effectively, to go 3-1 up, and they've just held on to it since then with these smooth executive passes, especially in the last few points. We've seen a lot more of this. Just grind it out, take your time. Offense from Chevy. Hodgett was just essential to everything they did, and then knockout. Man, he took that bump full. So still plenty of game left to go.
100%.
6-4. Smashed only one break down. Their offense has looked tentative at times, like they've squeezed a couple of things in. But the more you play, the more confident you get, and the more you come together. We've talked a lot about the things we'd like to see from the Smash D offense. Is there anything specifically you'd like to see Chevron do more of?
I feel like they can maybe take more calculated gambles. We've seen a couple of times they've got blocks by just having defenders be a little bit more aware. They are forcing high stall counts a little bit, and maybe because they've got that break up, they've got a little bit more license to let themselves off the hook a little bit.
Maybe a license to thrill us up here in the stands.
100%. 100%. Two Turville brothers on the far sideline. Here's Christian, little inside throw there to Burnham. Wants to distribute quickly, but he doesn't see it. Nice inside there on the move, taking advantage of that pickup to create the angle for the throw. Again, it's very handler-led and dominated at the moment. Underneath here's Burnham, but they're moving the disc certainly quicker, more easily. That was a little bit behind, but a good layout to save it from Phipps. First real dicey moment in this possession, and another one is just too far for the bidding receiver. That's Fungerino.
And I thought that was going so well for Smash D the whole way down the pitch, and then just fumbles in the last.
There is a stoppage that happened quite a while ago, so I imagine this disc will go back. Picking the stack, potentially?
Certainly looks like that in the 2-5 setup. That's going to happen every now and again as players try to get big acres of space to run into. And so unfortunate for Smashed on that turn.
You can see there as well at the front of the stack, and those two players are very close together for Chevy, and if they cross over, that is highly likely to cause those little picks and screens. Nice switch passed off in that open lane. Chevron resetting now towards the break side. Williams to Morel. Morel, he gets that one out nice and early. Thompson had maybe a step or two deep, and that one trying to go into the center of the pitch. Turville read it well, thought about the quick pickup, and just didn't quite meet the eyes with the receiver. Leaves it for his brother instead. couple of players coming towards that same space. Brilliant layout from Vaslit. Got up there big and full extension to tip that away from Burnham. Now Vaslit wants to open up the arm, going into space. Made the receiver work, but Leak plugs the gap, and this one for Thompson is dicey, but works for 7-4. Chevron, you could say maybe that they got lucky, but you could also say that you make your own luck.
They were certainly starting to gamble a bit more. Maybe not intentionally, but like you say, if it all works out, it all works out.
I meant defensively, not offensively.
Look, we'll take the odds whenever they're presented to us. Chevron get away with that one, but that's exactly the issue Smash D are going to have. If Chevron have the natural advantage and then the breaks start going their way, as we have another look, just so unfortunate for Fund. And then here you can see the lovely step through D from Vaslit. And here, big time layout. It was just massive plays each way. You couldn't stop to breathe.
That's just two players coming towards the same space. You've got defenders in the area. If you've got someone like Vaslit marking a player like Burnham, where you've got that big height disparity, it's about how can we use that. Okay, marked by a bigger player, sure, but you've got those short, sharp changes of direction, the lower center of gravity. Downfield is not necessarily where you want to see that matchup. And then they made their receivers work for it, but Leak, who got a dicey throw to bring in himself, thought he'd give one for Thompson as well.
One good turnover adjacent throw deserves another, I suppose. Thompson getting a show off. Nobody contesting it, but still screaming up there. So difficult to read those when they blade out of your hand like that. 7-4, big break for Chevron as they could put this game away. 3 points would be enough to carry them through. What is effectively a quarterfinal here, Benj?
Yep, so the winner of this game will top the pool, and the pool winners go straight to semis. Winner of this pool faces the winner of the A pool, which, let's be honest, almost certainly going to be Clapham, although until the games have happened, you're not entirely sure. And the other semi-final will be the winners of the other two pools, which, according to seedings, would be Ranelagh versus Alba. So we do have the potential of a non-Clapham versus Chevron final. In fact, we will definitely have that for the first time since 2012.
That is a scintillating prospect for a lot of the people, especially supporters of the Hiberno leagues who are watching from home. First of all, though, we're going to have to see who will be making it to the semi-final out of this pool. Smash, going to take a pick, going to take it to the middle. Hopefully open up their offense just a bit more. Try and find those spots. They've had the opportunity every now and again to go deep, but I think the throwers are more hesitant to put it.
Vertical setup here this time for Smash D. Morell's ready and waiting on the brick mark. Turville wants to initiate quickly towards the break side. Doesn't see it. This time Varney boxes out Dixon. Goes around Seamus Turville, fakes the continuation, fakes it again, doesn't like it.
All of these cuts by Smash D are just straight sprints.
You feel like they're not setting them up enough. That one, oh, a very narrow window, and I'm not sure that Turville was quite expecting it. Chevron hand there knocks it away. They can break for half here. Morell immediately looking for that deep game. Allen's got it. He might get this throw out nice and early, and Barak will catch it uncontested, switching some key players over to play some defense, going in for the kill and breaking for half. Chevron 8, Smash D 4.
Fantastic, and just a tale of two approaches right there. Smash D weren't putting quite enough in. They every now and again somebody would fake under and go deep, but they'd be getting looked off by the time they made it to the deep part of their cut. They were allowing Chevron to put pressure on almost every single throw, and then just got a bit too greedy working it down the sideline. And then to counter, Morell, no hesitation, immediately shoots it all the way down to Seb Allen. Just Chevron knew what they wanted. We have them on the ropes. We've got to throw this punch, and they had it cocked all point long. As soon as it was the turnover, you could see the slight hesitation from Smash D, just a little bit of frustration trying to force it down that sideline. That's the only second that Chevron needed to push this disc all the way down the pitch. Take half, 8-4.
It was so switched on from Chevron, because the second that disc was turned over, Seb Allen knew exactly what he wanted to do. and he had that connection with Morel and then continued it, got it out nice and early for Barak.
Well, that's the other thing. Barak right there in support. Like Seb Allen, okay, he gets the initial cutout. Still, the next closest person to him was Chevron. I mean, 3 Chevy players had heads-up plays, significantly more heads-up than what Smash D were able to do. And when you're 7-4 down, you've just got to be a little bit less emotionally invested, a little bit colder, and just turn immediately when you lose possession. But 8-4 doesn't mean it's over. Plenty still to play for in this effectively quarterfinal place in the final pool game here on the Saturday. We're going to go all the way through to the semis on the first day. So there's got plenty of action still to come here, and we will be back after these short messages for halftime.
Don't go away.
Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing
Can
here.
Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hartlinger Elferkel. Fantastic run by Julia Lutz.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
Let's subscribe ULTI.TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo!
If you want to grow Ultimate Sports, become a member of ULTI.TV.
Regardez ULTI.TV. Deviens un membre d'ULTI.TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Top ULTI.TV تلمه eroginkime Ultimate Vendromene. Si quieres ayudar a ULTI.TV, puedes ser miembro de ULTI.TV.
Everyone, follow ULTI.TV on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love Frisbee. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på ULTI.TV.
Became member of ULTI.TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec ULTI.TV.
Like and subscribe. ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
we want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
With thousands of hours of experience,
and our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
we work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and news stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back to ULTI.TV's coverage of UKU Nationals, EUCR West. Open pool play. They've what is effectively a quarter-final. Chevron taking half, 8-4 on Smash D. Benji Reese and Lorcan Murray in the booth. And Smash D starting the second half on offense and trying to open it up. This time they've got a little bit of separation for Varney, who skies past the bidding Vaslet. Will that be the energizer that Smash D need?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna go to Showboat, you might as well be loud and proud about it. That was an incredible grab. In fairness, there was a lot of flow and there was a lot of distance made up, but beautiful, beautiful take-in. I think it was Vasa was on defense who really managed to close the gap and put a lot more pressure on that throw than I expected. But that is the exact kind of offense Smash D would have just spent all of halftime saying, this is what we want to do. We came here to open it up. Let's open it up. Big time grab under a lot of pressure. Shows it. Initially he shows it and I was like, did he mean to do that? And then he turns back to continue showing it. So yeah, that was definitely.
If you don't show it, how will you know you caught it?
Exactly. I mean, some people say that that's arrogant. I say that's mandatory. 8-5. You've got to light your sideline on fire somehow, and that's exactly a way to get it done.
Hey, scoring's fun. There's nothing wrong with celebrating it. There's the man, Varney. This is a blading pull from Smash D. Martin Hall field for Chevron's first possession of the second half. See a tram going down University Boulevard behind us, and Chevron offense will look to stay stimulatingly steadfast and on course. Just past the bidding defender. Hodgett coming underneath. Haynes pops up to make the catch and rips this, no hesitation, towards the break side. Defender never got a look at it, and Barak grabs it, pulls it down, and it's 9-5. Haynes pulled that trigger lightning quick.
So what you saw there in the 3-4 was Smash D spending the whole time going against the horizontal that Chevy came out with, forcing them under, throwing everything in their power to push them towards the handlers. That's something Chevy were able to take. A lot of those unders under pressure. Just before Haynes got it, about a pass or two before, they switched to 2-5. That opened up that shot. Now it takes a big, big pass and a confident grab from Barak to bring it down. But you could see once they transitioned to that 2-5, they opened up the deep space for themselves and immediately attacked it. No hesitation. Again, just that experience coming to the fore.
And with that throw, it's fading it towards that break side. It makes it so tricky because obviously defenders focused on marking out the open side. That's where you've got that space if you can get the throw out early enough to attack it. And Niall Jackson, who's the defender there, never really got a good sight of the disc. He's just he's kind of guessing where it is based on what Haynes is based on what Barak's doing.
The old marking the opponent's eyes move. I've done that many a time where you're chasing down your opponent, you hear the up call and you're like, I know that's going to my guy, I can see it in his face. So you just kind of jump and hope for the best, but Barak is far too good to be outdone by that kind of a show.
Something a little bit different now defensively from Chevron, going into their bag of tricks in this second half. Starting a little bit flat, stopping any initial pull pace that Smash D might have drawn up. But their offense is now, or the defense has now transitioned back into one-on-one. Do see this a bit more often now, where teams will just try and clog up early on, just to stop any drawn-up schemes.
I think it's a big influence coming over from the American coaches when they really started to break down this game more and more, and that was a huge thing a lot of them tried to implement.
Yeah, when more pull plays come in, the natural response is to find ways to counter them. Hill looking down the sideline. Seamus Turville, there's a pick in the center of the pitch.
Well, they really compressed their stack to almost become a ball, but something I was going to say, a counter to that was they were actually setting up the cuts out of it quite well. They were starting to legitimately threaten one direction before turning and trying to go the other.
A good fake should just be a cut that you pull out of rather than just put in a couple of just put in a cursory couple of steps because you feel like you should. Couple of defenders clam underneath, but they get the swing off around. Burnham, he's looking deep again. Good initiation from this near side. Phipps leaking out the back, beyond Espinosa for the score.
Brilliant move by Phipps. And again, they were cycling. We were about to start. I was about to start criticizing again for focusing so heavily on the unders in that situation. But they did a brilliant job of locating where the options were. Something you'll see Chevron do over and over again is steal, or at least try to momentarily flash into the open channel. I mean, we saw several of their players go for it that time, including quite prominently Seb Allen, who's made himself a real nuisance. When that happens and they're trying to clog those unders, it does open up these brief moments. You can see, well, if it would say that you could have just seen before that, they did poach again, trying to collapse under, and it opened up a deep shot they didn't take initially. When they swing and the same thing happened, Phipps is not going to let the opportunity pass him by. Near sideline, middle of the end zone, perfectly placed. More cuts like that could really open up this game for Smash D.
After a very compressed start to the, very compressed start of offense in that first half from Smash D, certainly you can see that they are opening up a bit more in this second. Good pull there, be fielded at the back of the end zone by Chevron.
I think it's important to note they haven't gotten too many turns off of this Chevy side since the early exchanges of the matchup. So they seem to be switching into a zone here, a 3-3-1. Chevy trying to overload in the deep space. Wind's kind of calmed down though, Benj.
It has a little bit. And that one, oh, they're appealing for the Callahan. Again, not sure what the sideline thinks of it, but also what they have to say. Not as the utmost important. Saville is the player who's bidding. That's close. That is close.
Pure L.
What do you think?
I'm just saying that it was a close one. I think the hands closed, or it's contested, and it's going back. I genuinely think... That's not Dathan.
No.
Hodge. I think his hands closed around the... I think that's the Callahan. And then it's Martin Hall's hands are coming down on the caught disc. But look, it goes back. That's the fair decision because that's the one that was made on the pitch.
Yeah, in those scenarios, it is so close that sometimes a contest doesn't feel like a terrible result.
I mean, if you're Smash D, I think it feels pretty terrible right now.
But you generated that pressure. Can you keep it up? Chevron have worked out of it nicely. Downfield. Haynes is just kind of staying there, just leaving space free rather than being all go all the time. Work smarter, not harder, etc. And then a bid looking to come through from Halkyard, but I'm pretty sure that he got a lot of Sam Cameron in doing so, and indeed it is going to be an accepted foul. Cameron resetting to Martin Hall. Pressure very early on in this possession from Smash D. Can they find it late as well?
Smash D trying to poach off and help each other on the far side of the end zone, but it leaves gaps like that for the shot.
Yeah, everything was very compressed, but Mason just about found a little bit of a window there, and then the continuation into the end zone for what seemed to be a comfortable score, because when often, you poach, you sit in those spaces, it does feel like players are catching it wide open, but all the pressure came on this throw here. Hodgett, that is the throw to Cameron down that far sideline. This is where everything just steps up. It's all very close. Everyone's right near. They've got defenders sitting in there as well. They just seed that inside line a little bit too early. And they find that little pop through to Mason. And Mason finished it off to Sax Dixon to make it 10-6.
Something I loved about the pressure Smash D were putting on there, because we've seen them put great pressure on when the disc is first caught in Chevron's end zone. Then Chevron work hard, have a couple of close calls. He's going to have more than once in this game, more than one possession. And then once they kind of hit the middle, they do a fantastic job of using the space, always trying to reduce the amount of people that throwers are looking at. The fewer people you can see, the easier it is for the offense to get free. Smash Team managed to re-engage some of that pressure right in front of their own end zone through tight marking on the handlers and the dumps, and then some really smart switching on the far side. So any shots that were going over the top, they should have been able to cover. But what Chevron did fantastically was noticing that and attacking straight through the poaches to get to the front of the end zone. So once again, Chevron using their experience to find the answers.
And that one, oh, wow.
That was an incredible way to rescue a play.
But he may have done himself some damage in the process. Varney just gets nowhere close the first time round, completely gets his hand in the wrong position, spectacularly saves it, but yeah, obviously done himself a mischief in doing so. Fungerino will come on as a replacement.
I mean, that's not a bad replacement for me so far. Fungerino's been one of the real bright sparks for this Smash D side.
He is electric. Resetting it off this time. Ball fakes to Christian Turville. Finds his brother Seamus. Everything looking a bit static at the moment. Turville putting this one out into space. Lee hustles it down. Faking that big flick, or big backhand, excuse me, for the lefty. This one to space. Turville recognises it well and lays out. That's throwing with touch right there because it gave time Turville to oh, I need to get this.
I honestly thought he was throwing it to Barak. I think Barak thought the same thing.
Now just outside the end zone, Seamus Turville wants to pop this over the head of the defender. Nothing Morel can do. And Fungerino with a little back pedal just watches it right into the breadbasket for Smash D. Again, some dicey moments on that possession, but they are hanging tough in the second half. On serve since the break.
Keeping it close and showing that they have the pace to match Chevron, so can they now overtake them, get a couple of breaks in a row? I think that whisper of a Callahan is something that might be going through their minds later this evening if they can't get on top in this game. But here we see, and this is just some classic Smash D offense, dump and swing, swing, pop over the top, and composure from Fungerino to collect it. So good to see them mix it up. Wouldn't mind seeing a bit more in the deep end, but first of all, they got to get these tees. They've got to get some turns.
That's the thing now.
I don't know what else they could do except to close the millimeter. It's a millimeter at this point. They've come so close so many times.
I think the Chevron O-line turned it over once on their second point, and that's about it. They need to find a way to generate more pressure and generate it on a consistent basis as well.
I mean, effectively, yeah. Chevron had the early turn. They were the first team to turn in this game. Smash D almost had a chance to go up. They've had a handful since, but most of those have been by the D line. So it's a close one right now. How much closer can Smash D get to stealing possession? Once again, you'll notice they force Chevron under as much as they can in the initial exchanges. And that kind of changes once they get to halfway, which is when Chevron really take off.
Haynes is down in the center of the park. That is a worry for Chevy. It didn't see what happened.
Just looks like he got a little bit of a knock. And you know, when you've got those aggravated injuries, I mean, he's got a litany of successes, but he's got a litany of scars to show as well for it.
Yeah, I think maybe he's coming one way and he just a little collision there with Elliot Edwards. Of course, no malice in any of it, just yeah. Haynes is coming across and Elliot Edwards is coming forward and they just bang together. But good to see that everyone's okay to continue. Here is Haynes dishing off to Kime. Kime down the sideline. Cameron got a wide open reset here in Kime, and Kime continues. Defense a little bit at 6s and 7s here. Trying to get back into position here for Smash D. Eventually they recover, but Chevron almost at the attacking brick mark already. Martin Hall looking to be aggressive through that inside channel. Stall count rising. Takes the reset back. Mason trying to build things again for Chevron now. Kime. Mason just about brings that one in. Ginsberg was right there, but a brilliant snag. Keeping Chevron in it on this possession. This is the more consistent pressure that we talked about. Mason finds a little bit of a way to muscle his way down the line. Reset off to Martin Hall.
Tight marks and some really good switching happening in the backfield. A little bit of clamping as well. All the time Smash D are trying to funnel all of that pressure back into the open channel under, trying to force players back towards their handlers.
But they have been able to keep that disc ticking over in the backfield, even if it is on high stalls that these resets are coming off. Kime's come out of the handler, set to go downfield. Barak gets it past a bidding defender.
It's millimeters, Benji, it's millimeters.
And again, the player's taken a bit of a heavy landing.
So I'm loving this defense by Smashed. I think it's really, really good when you're going up against people who have the depth of experience and skill, the likes of Kime, Cameron, who are just going to keep recycling it over and over again. Martin Hall as well has been really big for them. It's so tough. It just takes a split second, and you've got, well, I would certainly say you've got to commit on those things. You're not really going to get too many pressure Ds from them.
So Ginsberg comes on and Betson comes off and Betson comes on. It's a little bit of a I know
a word soup.
Yeah, a slightly different change in terms of physicality maybe. Getting a smaller, nippier player on in Betson for a slightly larger frame in Ginsberg. Popped off there from Chevron, looking in the backfield, no, downfield instead, Martin Hall. Been a cog of the Chevron O-line for so many years, as has his target in the end zone, Ben Barak, and it's 11-7.
You could see Barak set up that deep, or that up the line cut so well. Hopefully we'll catch it here on the camera. He's gonna sell with this little shimmy there, and his defender's gone. And off he goes.
The second that Elliot Edwards commits, Ben Barak is like, nope, see you later, I'm off. And into the end zone, makes it 11-7, 4 points away from victory. Games in the Open Division this week played to 15. Time cap comes on at 75 minutes for the Saturday games in the Open and in the Mixed Division. So if we haven't reached 15 by that point, finish the point, add one to the highest score, that becomes Andy's score cap. So about 15 minutes left.
And plenty still to play for, but they're running out of time to play it in. Smash D have got to turn it up. They've got to go on a little bit of a run. Look, clearly it's not going to work with the current strategy. You're going to keep getting close, but close is no cigar. So I would like to see maybe a little bit of trap lane. If you're putting so much pressure on the downfield, you're shutting down all the options, and then they keep managing to recycle, and then people like Hall and Barak who just know each other inside out, eventually they're going to punch it through. Lay some traps. Make it look like an option is on downfield, and then when they go for that, try and snap the trap shut. It's a risky way to play defense, but right now they're going to have to gamble big if they want to get back in this game.
Yeah, if they always do what they've always done, then they'll always get what they've always had. This one, Espinoza being physical there with Burnham. Burnham looking for the throw and go. No, wants it in the backfield. Burnham opening it up again, this time Turville. You can see there, create that angle to box out, just on the end zone line, popping it in. The deep game has come alive for Smash D in this second half. Is in a case of too little, too late as the kick spike comes through from Ben Phipps for the score.
You hope it's not too little, too late. We've seen these flashes before of them taking these deep shots on. It's worked quite well for them, especially in the second half. They've looked much more assured, much better set up. That's a far side cut. Really well done and followed up by Smash D, but we keep coming back to it. The offense has actually looked quite good for Smash D, especially in the second half. Especially in the second half. It's the defense. It's
a turnover-free second half for both sides. And for Chevron, that'll suit them just fine. For Smash D, they need to find a way to cook something up. I think part of the reason that their deep game has worked is that because they've got a reputation of an under team, those deep throws are maybe a little bit more open downfield. But also with Burnham, that threat of the throw and go means that the force, thinking I can't get tight here because the throw and go, then I'm on the back shoulder. Maybe if I sit off a little bit, I can close down some of those angles where they want to go. But with the force slightly further off, got a lot more room to step into those deep shots. Solid pull here will set Chevron up, starting from their own end zone. And again, as we mentioned, they've come close, but not quite close enough. This one overthrown, looking for the greatest attempt, but Mason had already landed by the time he threw it back in. And here is the first turnover of the second half. Can Smash get their first break this game? Everything centered on the front corner of the end zone, going towards the far side. And despite the best attempts and the layout, can't get there.
Heartbreaking. A little bit of argy-bargy happening on the far sideline as well. Really great zone application by Smash. They almost get another D on Barak under.
Wow, that was mighty, mighty close. Mason went for the greatest attempt this time. Kime lays out, keeps it alive. You can tell that the intensity has gone up a notch. And Kime looks deep, he's looking for Cameron. And Cameron loses out there to Halkyard.
That was just all heart and fight by Halkyard to get that block.
Here's Swang. Oh, a little bit high, but Halkyard reels it in. Halkyard rips it towards the end zone. Over the head of Barak. In for the Smash D break. It's Vinfar who reels it in. 11-8. Is there a sting in the tail here?
It's certainly going to be quite the story for us to enjoy. Benji, first off, that arrowhead on the handler's zone with the man marking downfield, continuing to force them under into those spaces. Really like that slight variation, a nice way to mix it up. Gets the first turn out of it. Very physical stuff in front of the end zone as we're going to have a look. There was so much to see. First of all, here's the overthrow. A little bit too casual.
You can see there that he's definitely landed Mason. By the time he goes for the greatest attempt, and this was the hammer towards the far side, I really thought that Garnier was going to bring this in, and he definitely gets a hand to it as well. But I think maybe got a little too, tracked it towards the back of the end zone too much and should have kept his initial read. Here's Keim laying out to save possession. And after Haukar was able to get the D, a double happiness of sorts, sets himself, rips this flick, blading towards that far side, and Miles Vinfar tracked it over Ben Barak and slams it on the ground and roars in celebration.
I'm surprised he didn't start beating his chest and showing the depth that Smash D have as well. Like, those are two names we haven't really been talking about a lot so far in this game. Just coming up with the biggest play of the game. And I don't think it's of sorts. I think it's an immaculate double happiness by Halkyard. That first block he got was incredibly impressive. He was out of position, undersized, and just fought himself into the right place at the right time and got the turn. And again, there was a lot of guts to take on that throw across to Vinfar. And it comes off. As soon as Smash D took that disc and we're in the front corner of the end zone after the first throwaway, I never thought that was going to be a score. How tight everything was, how much pressure they were under. They were able to get it back and find a bit more fight. So now at 11-9, a crucial turning point in the game. There's only about 10 minutes left.
Game still very much on here, especially because in Ultimate, you have to score that last point to win. Nice advantage taken of the poach there, just sitting that one into space for Martin Hall. From Martin Hall to Hodgett, excuse me. Two Toms linking up. Here's Eddie Mason. Finds Hodgett. Saville trying to make himself awkward on the mark. But Cameron, I must say actually Chevron, maybe after a point that looked pretty dicey last time out, feels like they're just moving the disc a bit quicker, a bit zippier, creating that space more cleanly. Here's Mason.
They're doing a fantastic job of isolating cutters.
And Martin Hall gets the right side of Betson, and simple backhand into the end zone for Hodgett for the score 12-9.
So earlier on, I was criticizing Smash D for the way that they were playing offense. It just looked like they were taking straight runs every single time. The difference there is what you saw with Chevron. Every time they were operating in similar spaces, but it was always, I'm attacking as hard as I can one way, then I am turning, and each one of those turns lost their man. That final cut from Hodgett was the only one that was a straight sprint, and after that, you know, a throw and a go is always going to be a straight sprint. Really, really impressive, and exactly the response you need. Chevron probably went in there. There was the timeout called at 11-9. They went, these boys are getting too wild. They're getting too energized. We need to shut this down. And how do they do it? Just through hard graft. Every cut you make, it's the same as every fake you throw is just a throw you didn't let go of. Every fake that you make with your legs is just a cut that you change direction on, and Chevron absolutely epitomizing it on that possession.
Yeah, especially if you're a team that thrives off big plays and energy. Nothing helps dissipate that than just a really boring, grindy underpoint. Don't even give them the sniff of a chance to make a big play. By the way, the winner of this game will face, surprise, surprise, Clapham in the semi-final after they polished off Rebel to win their pool. Here is Turville looking deep. Oh, this is a hospital pass, but
call me a wambulance.
That is now going to continue to the end zone. Brilliant work from Phipps, first with the sky, and then finding Wilson at the back of the end zone. That is 12-10 now. Again, Smash not going down without a metaphorical fight here, and that is, yeah, that's a hell of a sky to keep them in this game, because that was
sketchy.
Yeah,
there was a lot of people underneath it.
Bit of 500s, why not?
The only one that matters is Phipps.
He does. You can see him really set that spring, and he goes up early.
And then just presence of mind.
Right? Doesn't matter that you've just roofed a pack of people. Now I can heck your conservation of greatness. I'll just continue into the end zone for the score.
Really great stuff by Phipps, and keeping the pressure on by Smash D. I think that's maybe kind of illustrates the difference between the two outfits. At times, Smash D going for the big highlight play to pull it in. Chevron trying to keep it a little bit chillier. So 12-10, look, it's not the pantsing that happened at last year's Nationals.
Certainly not.
But it's not quite the statement of intent that Smash D were hoping to make. A late stage comeback now could really go a long way to legitimizing themselves as a threat.
However, there is still very much a long time left in this game. About 7 minutes until the cap comes on, but as we mentioned, you have to finish it off. You have to score that last point to win. And until that happens, both sides still very much in this as Kime goes right to the dairy there with the full fat milk of that throw. Get every single inch of it.
You can see now how Chevron have responded to the arrowhead approach to the Smash defense, as now they switch to match defense as quick as they can, recognizing that Martin Hall was just in acres of space. Yeah,
they're trying to force those lateral swings, and Chevron was saying, look, they're giving us this space. Let's be aggressive with how much of it we want as well. Here's Hodgett looking deep for Sax Dixon. Sax Dixon in stride past the defender. Makes it 13-10.
Again, another example of almost bewilderingly casual for the most part. Sax Dixon was half cutting deep, half just making his way down the pitch with a bit of a saunter. You could tell by the intensity with which his defender was marking him, and the disc was up for about half the distance of the throw before the defender even realized that there was something coming.
This is the thing when you're a player who is the size of Sax Dixon, is that you've got these long sides, these long strides that really churn up the ground in front of you. So it doesn't necessarily look like you're working that hard, but you're making up so much ground. And when you've got the position, and the throw goes up nice and early, the defender's always second favourite.
And it's a tough one for Smash D. They've worked tirelessly all game long to shut down those deep options. So consistently trying to force Chevron back under, but every time it seems to be more in the shapes that they come down initially as, which are these hybrid little zones on the handlers, downfield marking, forcing the cutters under. When they then transition to a more honest and traditional match defense, they've really struggled to maintain that downfield pressure, forcing Chevron back into the unders, and they've opened themselves up to shots like that a few times.
For Smash D, they've got the second half's only break. The problem they've done is that they dug themselves an 8-4 hole going into the second half. You're seeing a shot there of the clock tower at the university campus. In the background, the University of Nottingham, the Highfield Sports Complex, the venue once again back for the second year here for UKU Nationals / EUCR West. Seamus Turville fakes the big look. This time his brother's going to try and go up line. A little bit of a blade on that throw. Turville sees the space. He's looking for the inside-out backhand. And, oh my word, Steve Dixon. You can't be doing that. You got to catch your Ds. It felt like he was right in position and just went for the big play, and he could have just chased it down and is punished for it because it is reeled in just about in bounds by Smash D. And I tell you what, they got away with that one.
He wanted the glory, took a bite, and choked on it. You've got to love it. There comes the heckles from the sideline. You know, he could have just caught it.
Got to catch your Ds. We've said it so many times.
Look, he's there. It's here. I've got it all day. Me, no.
Not quite.
So unnecessary as well.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, don't particularly think Phipps cared.
He's not going to take umbrage with that falling into his head. Look, a quick shout out to Phipps. That's not an easy catch to make. Because you're watching that the whole way. You're like, oh yeah, Dixon's about to, get a highlight play for himself. And then he misses it. You've got about half a second to realize, oh.
Yeah, he stayed with it. Credit him for staying with it, because he could easily have just given it up as long gone. You might have also heard the hooter going off in the background there. So we will finish this point and add one to the highest score. So we'll either have 13-12 here in a game to 14, or 14-11 in a game to 15. This one will pop up a little bit, well reeled in by the lean figure of Sam Cameron. Finds Hodgett in the backfield, puts that one out into space. Past Larkinson, the defender. And here's Sax Dixon up against Saville. Underneath for Cameron again. Cameron finds Hall right down the centre of the pitch, and he really made Haynes work for it. But Haynes answers the call. 14-11, game to 15. Firstly, I'm not sure how on earth Martin Hall had the freedom of Nottingham there, but also I've no idea why he made that throw as difficult as he did for Haynes. Just maybe got a little bit too nonchalant with it.
You can see the open side poach.
Oh, he absolutely
beautiful inside break to get it to him, and then
the form on that is awkward as heck.
He's just one of those. I see it, I want it, I'm going for it. It doesn't matter how good it is. Haynes will get there anyway. And
he did.
It's what he does. It's what he's done for over a decade. It's a phenomenal player, and maybe taking a couple of liberties there. Martin Hall just putting him on the ground, showing off. That makes it 14-11. It will be a game to 15 despite the time going. Smash D need to go on quite the impressive run. Chevy ended the first half on a 3-point run to push it out to 8-4. So now that 4-point gap is exactly what Smash D need to address.
Yeah, it was 5-4 at one point, and then Chevy put in their 0 point. Couple of breaks going in for the kill before half. Looked like they might have put this game out of reach, but Smash D have hang tough in the second, and they've got the second half's only break. Here's the task for them. Put in their 0 point, and then let their D-line go to work. For Chevy, of course, a break here would finish the game. Lee and Burnham just working it between themselves in the backfield. Now Turville's going to provide an outlet. He's still there if they can find a way to break that force. Chevron clamping underneath, going to Wilson in the backfield. Phipps on the far sideline. Low release.
There's a chance in these switches for Smash D to take the deep shot, but it's something they need to work on to add it more readily to their arsenal. They've had a few looks that they just haven't even recognized.
Trapped on the sideline again, the squirreling Turville. This time there's the deep shot from Turville to his brother Seamus. He's not quite in just yet. Popping this one to Phipps. Game not dead just yet. Smash D have put in their 0 point they needed. It is 14-12. Can they find 3 breaks on the spin? It's a tough ask when you consider that they've only got 1 this game.
Phipps has been absolutely virulent in the end zone in the second half especially. He has just gotten score after score. Such a force for them.
4 goals plus an assist. So, yeah, his impact being very keenly felt. And some of them he's kind of made himself. But he's got a couple of goals just from hustling when shots have gone up. He's not necessarily been the target, but trusting my teammate's going to get this, and when they do, who's going to be the first person there for the next pass? It's going to be me.
That's exactly it. Like, the most impressive grab he's had so far in this game was the one that set up his own assist, which was the huge sky and the floaty pass. But we need to focus on the Smash D right now. Do you think they're going to come out with that same look that sag a little bit on the handlers initially, try and push them under, and then, they're going for a rolling one. This is an old Molly Brown tactic. Purposely try and pin people on the sideline.
I like it. Get a trap set up.
I like it a lot as well, especially if you're trying to go with an arrowhead approach, because it allows you to clamp down ever so slightly, and then they're going to force as many Chevron players into that open side under as possible.
I think the other thing as well is we've not seen them go to it this game, so again, it's maybe not a look that Chevron were expecting and ready for. Although, of course, because it does roll out the sideline, you do get a chance to set up.
It's that shoulder turn that Chevron keep losing their defenders on.
You don't always need to make the big expressive fakes. Sometimes it's just getting their momentum going the wrong way. Martin Hall goes to ground to make sure he keeps possession. That one a little bit dicey. You could see it really sink like a stone, but into Cameron's hands. Hodgett has no mark for a while, but he can't get the disc off. Eventually, it comes up close. This one inside, across the field, rakes it through to Martin Hall. Martin Hall zings it in. Haynes fakes the flick, pumps the backhand. Now turns and isolates the reset. Martin Hall up against Cody Elliott-Edwards. 2 double barrels going up against each other, and Martin Hall to Tom Hodgett. A little bit of tomfoolery in the backfield. Haynes sees Cameron towards the front of the end zone, trying to close in on that space. Just about squeezes it through to Sax Dixon. You can tell the pressure here from Smash D, but it isn't going to be enough in the end. Coming through to the front of the end zone is Ben Barak, and that is game. Chevron Action Flash 15, Smash D 12 is your final score, and both sides put on, honestly, a real high-quality game, considering this is, you know, essentially a quarter-final. I think it bodes well for what we've got coming up for the rest of the weekend.
I mean, in a half that had 3 turnovers and 1 break, we saw some of the best of UK.
No. I'm just going to say all 3 turnovers, by the way, came on that 1 point. Every other point in the second half.
Absolutely flawless. Well, immaculate in terms of turnovers, but so many of those points had these nail-biting, cuticle-caressing moments of millimeters difference as teams just about script and scratched at each other, looking to get those turns, pulling down those grabs. Some fantastic plays we saw from both sides. I think Smash D really showing up, saying we've got different strategies, we've got a big squad, we can start to put this pressure on. The thing they really struggled with was the sacrifices they made to shut down Chevron's deep shots would consistently open up spaces that Hodgett, as well as several other players, but Hodgett, I think it was the one I kept noticing, just taking those inside shots into people in space in the middle, and then the continuation would flow. So they've started to work it out, but they haven't put it all quite together yet, whereas Chevron just relying on that long-standing experience and coordination that they've developed over years of playing with each other. So very much the young upstarts remain in their position for now, but they are gone from biting at the heels to starting to take some chunks out of the more established powers, and it'll be very exciting to see how they carry on through the rest of this weekend and if they can book themselves a place in Europe.
So, yeah, great to see you. We should have a drink sometime.
And I am delighted to say that just getting ready on the sideline, we have the one and only Mr. Tom Styles, who has grabbed a couple of the Chevron captains. We've got Tom Martin Hall and Seb Allen down there with our main man, Tom Styles. Tom, over to you.
I'm joined by Tom Martin Hall and Seb Allen from Chevy, and a solid win in the end, but Smash D pushed you pretty hard there, Tom.
Yeah, well, difficult game. Thought it was going to get a bit more separation, but then they really fought back. They got themselves up and they played some good day, and they hung in there when we were putting pressure on them, so respect to them. It was a tough game.
Now, because of the situation at Worlds and the rankings coming into this tournament, this will be the first time since 2012 that Chevron and Clapham won't meet in the finals. It's just impossible for this tournament. And there's a chance you're going to meet them in the semi instead. So how does that affect you from the history you've had between the two clubs? Are you feeling more positive about meeting them in a semi this time?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't think we kind of like view it any differently. It's like the same game. It's the same. We come here to beat whoever it is, like try our best. And it doesn't matter what stage we try and play them at. Obviously been very unsuccessful on it for the last few years. But yeah, I don't think it makes any difference where you meet them. Like, we're not taking. We won't judge our performance based on the position we finish this tournament. We'll base it on our results and how we perform as a team rather than the actual position we probably finish in.
You were connecting very well in the end zone there, Tom. Was it 5 assists for you in this game? Yeah.
They're all tap-ins, they're all stuff. None of them were good. Just little tap-ins. So. And
you've got Euros to come still as well. How is Chevy sort of feeling about the rest of the season, given what a relatively disappointing result at Worlds for you?
Yeah, tricky one at Worlds. We lost a couple of tight games that meant we finished lower than we're used to come in. So that gives us a bit of fire for Euros to go out and perform the way we know we can. Put good games together and finish highly, like we did the last time round at Euros. So looking forward to it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for talking to us, and best of luck with the rest of the tournament. It might be the year this year.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Cheers.
Thank you. See you, mate.
Thank you very much to Tom Styles, speaking there to the Chevron captains on what is a hard-fought game. However, we still have 3 more games to come, only halfway through the day here. Coming up next, we have women's action between... we have Spice and LMU before we go to an open semi-final, which we think will be Ranelagh versus Alba. We will get confirmation of that as soon as we can. And then more women's action, last game of the day for Bristol versus Scram. Plus, of course, full finals day tomorrow, Lorcan.
So much left to see, so much left to enjoy, and only one place to be to take it all in, and that's with us here. For how much do you have to pay again, Benji?
I think it's the grand total of free.
$3.99.
Freemium content here on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel. But of course, you can become a patron and help us fund these events going around Europe and the world, bringing you the best that Ultimate has to offer for as little as some couple of currency a month. You can help us make Ultimate huge. Thank you very much for watching ULTI.TV's coverage of UKU Nationals EUCR West here from the Highfield Sports Complex of the University of Nottingham. We'll leave you with some replays as from what was a sensational game. 15-12 Chevron over Smash D, your final score. We'll see you on the other side.